tomorrow I go into hospital, and in the day after we'll be having open heart surgery. Um, it's it's come as a surprise, not because I didn't think it would happen one day, but because it's come earlier than I thought. So to put this into context, I was diagnosed at the age of 11, having a school medical, and the school doctor sort of listened to my heart, and like I do with everybody, and heard that something wasn't quite right. And it was discovered that I had a leaking heart valve, my aortic valve. And so some of the blood that's been pushed out of the heart was coming back into the heart. So strangely, was told that I had heart disease. So for the last 47 years, from the age of 11, I'm now 58, I've been going to Southampton General Hospital, seeing a heart cardiologist. I'm on my third cardiologist now. Go down every year, have all the tests done, and that's been my life. Now, I went on to become an Olympic athlete, so clearly my heart didn't stop me doing that. But it was pretty scary from the age of 11. I wasn't allowed to do sport for competitive sport for a while, and then would always go back, and it was just a strange thing. But it's something that I didn't want to define me, and clearly hasn't held me back. So I've been retired from athletics for many years now. I retired in 1998. And I've always known that my heart valve one day would have to be addressed, but I've never had any real symptoms. It's never been something that I think about. And then last September, so we're now in January the 20th, 2025. In September of 2024, I went for my annual checkup, had all the tests done, had the echoes and all the tests. But it was clear that this was taking longer than normal, and was then told a few days later by my cardiologist that things had changed. The valve was showing that it was working fine, but things had changed in the heart. But more importantly, my aortic root had started to swell to a size that they weren't comfortable with. And so I was told that we've reached that point. We've reached the time where we have to do something about it, and that means open heart surgery. So I will be having a new aortic valve put in, and a graft done through my aortic root. So it was a shock. It was definitely a shock to me, and I told my wife Jules. And for the last few weeks and months, been sort of getting ready for this time. So I wanted to share this video because what I found really useful, really useful, are two things. I've been very fortunate to have three people in my life, friends of friends, and a family member actually, who have had similar surgeries. Very different people and different surgeries, but they've had open heart surgery. So it's great to have people to talk to, and I feel very lucky about that. Also, actually, I lived through it. My mother-in-law, back in 2012, I think it was, she was 81 and had a new valve put in, and Jules, my wife, and we cared for her and saw her get through that, and that was really tough. I mean, she really struggled, and to see her go through that process was something you wouldn't want to do, but she was 81. So have an experience of it. But the other thing that I found really useful, and the main reason for making this video, is that I've just found it so useful to listen to other people's stories, to go onto YouTube, and there's loads of stuff out there, and charities like Heart Valve Voice and British Heart Foundation, there's stuff out there. But the YouTube videos, the personal videos of people going through the process, I think has been really useful for me. So I would just like to do that for anybody who's either been diagnosed like I was and known that this day was coming, but more importantly for people who maybe didn't know and later on in life suddenly have been told they've got to have heart surgery, just to share my story, and hopefully that can be of value to people. I'd like to sort of make the point that I do feel that I'm one of the lucky ones, because my heart valve condition, the bicuspid valve that I have, was discovered when I was young. There are people out there who have no idea that they have problems, and usually later on in life, and that they find out through breathlessness or fatigue, and then they're told, actually, you've got a problem, you've got to go to heart surgery. So that must be really scary. This has been scary for me. I'm not going to pretend it hasn't, but I can't say it wasn't something I knew this day was going to come at some point. Truth is, I thought I'd be in my 70s. Okay, didn't quite make it to 60, but I'm going in. The plus of that, I am relatively young for this surgery, and hopefully that will help my recovery. So I sit here today. I'm going into hospital tomorrow, and I sort of wanted to share how I am feeling, because people have been asking me, people close to me have known, and it's an interesting question because I'm okay with it, because I understand it has to happen. And I understand what is going to happen, because there's so much information out there. But it's still scary. It's still scary, because if I stop and think about what is actually going to happen, it's going to be a long operation. You go on heart and lung support. They shut they shut those down. Just actually thinking about what's going to happen, I try not to do that too much, because if you go deep into that, it is scary. But one of the things people often ask me also is they sort of assume that I'm going to be fine. I was an athlete. I know what it's like to deal with pressure. I know what it's like to overcome injury. I know what it's like to get ready for a big event. Yes, I do, but it's different. This one is different, because when I was an athlete, I was really doing that for myself. It was me. I didn't have people dependent on me. Now I have a family. I have 3 kids. I have a wife. And it's that bit of it that's been hard for me, that sense of vulnerability, the sense that I'm going to be vulnerable and they're going to have to look after me, and I'm not there to look after them. And I found that probably harder than anything. Regarding the actual process, I feel I'm in good hands. I've always been looked after well down in Southampton. I've met my surgeon a few weeks ago. He's a really successful surgeon, great guy, and for him it's a matter of course. It's what he does. So I got no reason to question my surgeon. I'm happy about the decision that I made. I'm actually having a synthetic valve. I'm not having a mechanical valve. I mean, I'm pushing 60, so I've chosen to have a cow's valve, because I've been told that they last sort of 12 to 15 years. So I'll be getting on a bit then, and then I won't have to have open heart surgery. Next time I'll have TAVI, which is where they actually go up through your groin, and they can inflate a second valve in to replace the valve that's going to go in a few days' time, and that should buy me another sort of 12 to 15 years. So I'm sort of banking hopefully 24 years, and I'll take that because I'll be 82. But who knows? And by then, of course, medical science is changing so much. So there's all that. So I'm really comfortable what they're doing. I'm less sure about the aortic root surgery and the graft there. I don't really understand that, and I don't really want to know. So I'll just sort of let him do that. But of course, the big question that we all have going into this surgery is, what's the recovery going to be like? And talking to people, and it's been amazing to talk to friends who've had the surgery or similar surgery. One thing I know is that there are a lot of similarities. People have very similar journeys, but there are also differences, and it's those differences that I guess make us all the individuals that we are. So I've got an idea of what's coming up, and the process, and without going into all the details of tubes and recovery and going in intensive care and then how long I'm in hospital for, what I'm trying to do is to be as prepared as possible for the stuff that is constant with everybody's story, but also accept that there will be things that may happen to me that I haven't factored in. And I think my sporting background might help in this one, because what I learned as an athlete is that people often ask, what's it like to sort of run a huge race, an Olympic final or something like that? And the answer is really simple. If you are prepared, then it's okay. But if you feel that you're not prepared, it's a lot harder. So what I'm trying to do is to be as prepared as possible for this operation, but to also respect that there are things that are outside of my control, and to hand over to the medical staff and to hand over to my body. And that's hard, because you want to feel that you can control, but ultimately I think that's what comes through from every video that I've seen, that people prepare the best they can, but also know that in the end you don't know how recovery is going to be. So as I sit here today, the kind of stuff that I'm having to think about is, today, especially because tomorrow I go to hospital, is what are the things that I can do now at home that I won't be able to do when I come back here in a week to 10 days time? The lifting, the just organizing stuff, washing the cars, just stuff. And that's weird. What am I going to do with the dogs? I'm really lucky because my son's taken a gap year, so he's going to be here to look after to the dogs and then look after me, and my wife's going to be here as well. So I'm really lucky. I've got support, and I think that was one of the things that came through. One of my friends said, who had this during COVID, so his wife wasn't able to be in the hospital with him. He said the most important thing is to have that support, because that sort of one or two people who are there to support you for those first few weeks, they are so important. And so we're sort of on this journey together. Other things I'm thinking about is just, I don't know. I'm not actually trying to overthink this. Over the last few weeks, I've been keeping my exercise going, doing what I've normally done. So I've really just try and do a half an hour run every day. Had a bit of a cold, so haven't been doing that as much, but doing lots of walks, practicing the breathing exercises. I guess the lungs, getting the lungs to come back. But all these sort of things that you look and you think about, I'm just sort of trying to prepare myself, having a sensible diet, which I kind of do anyway. But I feel that I'm ready for this, even though this was a huge surprise. The most important thing for me is to respect the operation, to not belittle it, because it can't. It's a major operation. I've done everything I think I can do mentally to prepare, to visualize, to imagine. I know what's coming up, but it's not easy, and I'm happy to say that of course I'm scared. I mean, I'm a little bit scared. Logically, I know that I shouldn't be, but there's always that question of when you go into something like this. So there'll be some fear, but I feel prepared, and I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not looking forward to it. But actually, I think all I really want to do is to wake up and hear those voices saying, "Hey, hi," and it all went well, and then take on the recovery. Don't know how long that's going to take. I know when I'd like to be back up on my feet working, because I'm self-employed, so I need to get back working. But for now, it's about listening to my body, letting people care for me, trusting the medical process, and try and be optimistic that actually it's just as one of my my athletic friends from the past, when I told them, said, you're just having a fuel change. You're just having a few things changed on the engine, and yeah, it'll be okay. So this is me signing off, sort of 48 hours before having the open heart surgery.